ومع لقائنا المتجدد الأسبوعي مع الأستاذ الدكتور أحمد صبح، وفي سلسلة أدعية القرآن الكريم، فليتفضل مشكورا لإكمال ما وقف عليه في يوم الأحد الماضي.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
عليكم
My
السلام.
dear respect, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept from us our fasting and our ibadah and our qiyam and Quran. And inshallah, this beautiful month, as we are entering the second third of the month, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to let us be among those who will witness Laylatul Qadr and be among those who will inshallah be pardoned and will achieve salvation in this month. ونكون ممن عتق من النار في هذا الشهر الفضيل. نسأل الله العظيم رب العرش العظيم أن يقوينا على العبادة والقيام والصيام. آمين. My dear respected brothers and sisters, it's my pleasure to be with you again today. Inshallah, we will go through a few more of the du'as of the Quran. For those who did not join us in the past few times, we started talking about the importance of dua as a ibadah that's mentioned in the Quran several times. It was practiced by Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, and it's a beautiful gift that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us throughout the year, and especially during the month of Ramadan. During the month of Ramadan, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us so many opportunities that our dua will be answered. And one of the good things that we can do during the dua is to practice adab al-dua, the etiquettes of the dua. And one of these etiquettes is to use the verses from the Quran that came in the form of a dua, and we use them to pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to ask Him for the things that we want to have. Last time we spoke about 4 du'as from the prophets, peace be upon them, du'as that help during the time of difficulty and time of distress. There are a few more, inshallah, we'll continue today also for mentioned in the Quran. One of them by Prophet Musa, one of them is by the wife of Fir'aun. Asiyah, was living with a tyrant and was living with an oppressive husband, and she made this beautiful dua: رب ابني لي عندك بيتا في الجنة ونجني من فرعون وعمله ونجني من القوم الظالمين. This is a dua that's handy for anyone who's going under oppression, under dhulm, whether it's a wife being oppressed by her husband, whether it's an employee being oppressed by his employer, whether the system is not being fair to him or her. This is a nice dua to say when you are going through this kind of difficulty or this kind of painful feeling, which is the feeling of dhulm, the feeling of injustice. It's maybe one of the most painful things that you go through, injustice. So remember this dua: رب ابني لي عندك بيتا في الجنة. Oh Allah, build a palace for me in Jannah. Compensate me for what I'm going through with a palace, with a house in your Jannah. ونجني من فرعون, and save me from the tyrants, save me from the oppressors, and save me from what they are doing to me. This beautiful dua is very, very handy when this time. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, one of his adhkar al-sabah, he was, at the end of it, he asked Allah to protect him from قهر الرجال وأعوذ بك من غلبة الدين وقهر الرجال. I ask you to protect me from the overcoming or overwhelming oppression that is done to me by strong men. And this is something that only people who are going through dhulm, through oppression, can feel the painful flavor of dhulm, the painful flavor of qahr al-rijal. That taste is so bitter, it's so painful. What we see around us nowadays in many places where Muslims are going through oppression, whether in China, whether in India, in Kashmir, in Burma, in Egypt, in Syria, in Yemen, in many places around the world where there is major oppression, major dhulm. This is a dua that keeps you strong, inshallah, and makes you, inshallah, go through this difficult time, inshallah, easily. The next dua is the dua of Prophet Musa alayhi salam. Now, Prophet Musa has many du'as in the Quran. One of them is when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded him and asked him to go and make da'wah to Fir'aun. قال اذهب إلى فرعون إنه طغى. Go to Fir'aun, Musa, go to him. He is indeed, has transgressed all the boundaries of justice and fairness. He's become a tyrant, an oppressor. He's mistreating people. He's claiming he is God. He's really doing a lot of horrible things. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told Prophet Musa, go to him. Now remember, Prophet Musa fled the country after he was accused of murder, and he was going to go through possibly i'dam or execution. So he ran from the land of Egypt to the land of Palestine. He stayed there for 8 or 10 years. On his way back, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told him, go and face Fir'aun. Now, this is not an easy task to do. This is not an easy thing to do. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling him, go and face the source of evil, the source of oppression, the ultimate tyrant that existed in his time and maybe in our times. So what was Musa's dua when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that to him? He said, رَبِّ اشْرَحْ لِي صَدْرِي وَيَسِّرْ لِي أَمْرِي وَاحْلُلْ عُقْدَةً مِّن لِسَانِي يَفْقَهُ قَوْلِي. Oh Allah, clear my chest. اشرح لي صدري. Expand my chest, which is a term that we use like in Surah Al-Sharh, أَلَمْ نَشْرَحْ لَكَ صَدْرَكَ, Allah says in the Quran. What does sharh al-sadr means? Means that literally it means to expand the chest, which means let me handle the stress and the difficulty that I'm going through. Let me be inspired to say the right thing. Let me be inspired to do the right thing. Let me accept the harassment with open heart. Literally, that's what it means, with open heart, sharh al-sadr. So he says, Rabbi shrah li sadri. Oh Allah, expand my chest. Let me be inspired to behave in the proper way. وَيَسِّرْ لِي أَمْرِي, and make my task easy, make my job easy. وَاحْلُلْ عُقْدَةً مِّن لِسَانِي يَفْقَهُ قَوْلِي, and remove a knot from my tongue so I can speak clearly and eloquently. He's asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help him to speak fluently and eloquently, so the people he's addressing are understanding him, and they will accept and will be convinced with what he is saying and what he's requesting them to do. This dua could be used in many situations. You know, one of the biggest phobias in the world nowadays is called public speaking. People don't like to stand up in front of people and talk. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is teaching us that if you are preparing yourself to talk to someone, to take a very difficult task, make this dua. رَبِّ اشْرَحْ لِي صَدْرِي وَيَسِّرْ لِي أَمْرِي وَاحْلُلْ عُقْدَةً مِّن لِسَانِي يَفْقَهُ قَوْلِي. If you are facing, let's say you're going for a job interview, for a school interview, you're preparing a presentation for your classmates, you're preparing a presentation for your customers or for your boss or for your co-workers, you are preparing a khatira or a khutbah or a speech that you've been taught at the masjid by the imam, always say this dua. Oh Allah, expand my chest, clear my mind and heart so I can think clearly, I can think correctly. وَيَسِّرْ لِي أَمْرِي, and make my task easy. وَاحْلُلْ عُقْدَةً مِّن لِسَانِي يَفْقَهُ قَوْلِي, and make my speech very clear and very understandable. This is a dua that we all should learn it and keep it handy, inshallah, and benefit from it as we are going through certain situations in our life. The next dua is a dua that is very important for those who really care for Islam. Those who really care about the image and the reputation of Islam. Now, sometimes we as Muslims, we act in ways that might make people judge Islam based on that. For example, a sister wearing the hijab throws trash outside the window of her car. A brother whose name is Muhammad, who looks Muslim, who acts Muslim, who he's known to be Muslim, is caught cheating in his business. A criminal who gets caught and goes to prison, and his name is Ahmed or Abdullah. So what happens most of the times, because we live in a time of Islamophobia and people are judging Muslims all the time, anytime we do something as Muslims, Islam is being judged. If I do something wrong as a human being, and I am a human being, I'm always expected to do mistakes. Unfortunately, Islam is being judged. When Ahmed or Muhammad do something wrong, the people around us are saying, look at Islam, look at Muslims. And they are the same in every other group. But unfortunately, it's not the same for us. If a guy, like remember when we have a terrorist who happened to be Muslim, right away, everyone is blaming Islam. Everyone is asking which mosque did he go to, which imam he spoke to. But look at all these terrorists, those criminals who went to schools and shot kids and killed many people, those who went to churches and killed people, those who went to synagogue. No one ever asks about their faith. No one asks about which church they go to. No one asks about which priest or which pastor, which rabbi they speak to or they learn from. But when it comes to Islam, it's not fair, unfortunately. So what is the dua here? The dua is, رَبَّنَا لَا تَجْعَلْنَا فِتْنَةً لِلَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا. Oh Allah, do not make us a reason for the non-Muslims to hate Islam. Do not make our actions a reason for those who are not Muslims to think bad about Islam, to have negative understanding or negative perception about Islam. Because we are humans. We are not expected to be perfect, but Islam is perfect. You know, Islam is a beautiful religion. I challenge anyone to find a mistake in Islam. But in us, there are plenty of mistakes. So in order for us to feel that we're not causing harm to the image and the reputation of Islam, and of course, no one's going to be able to damage Islam, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يُرِيدُونَ لِيُطْفِئُوا نُورَ اللَّهِ بِأَفْوَاهِهِمْ وَاللَّهُ مُتِمُّ نُورِهِ وَلَوْ كَرِهَ الْكَافِرُونَ. Allah will fulfill the light of Islam regardless of what we do. But the image of Islam and the reputation of Islam could be affected by our actions, unfortunately. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala all the time, oh Allah, do not make me a reason for people not to accept Islam. Do not make me a reason for people to hate Islam. Do not make me a reason for people to have a negative thoughts or negative perception about my religion, about Islam. رَبَّنَا لَا تَجْعَلْنَا فِتْنَةً لِلَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا. This is a very beautiful dua. Now, this dua could also understood in a different way, which means, oh Allah, do not let our weakness make those non-believers think that because of our faith we are weak. That's in times of war or in times of conflicts. The dua is, do not make my enemy think or think that he's better than me because I am weak. So that's another understanding of this dua, maybe not relevant to our life nowadays, but what's more relevant is that the reputation and the image of our faith, we really care a lot about it, and we want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us improve the image of our religion. Unfortunately, or sometimes fortunately, we have that responsibility. We have that responsibility to honor and give a good reputation for the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, for Muhammad himself sallallahu alaihi wasallam, for the religion of Islam, for our practices. If you are a practicing Muslim, if you are acting in a way that people know that you're Muslim, please be careful. Be careful how you complain to a manager at a store. Be careful how you yell at the waitress at the restaurant. Be careful how you treat your employees. One day I met a nurse who works for a Muslim doctor, and I asked her, how is your boss? And she said, he's very nice. He's very honest. He's very kind. He's very good in what he's doing, but he's very cheap. Bakhil. He doesn't give us bonuses. He pays us in a very strict way, in a stingy way. So even though it's only a few dollars here and there, but it's worth it to give a good image about Islam with those extra things that we give. When you give a tip in a restaurant, be generous. When you are negotiating with a contractor or someone who's doing a job, be generous, be easygoing. Prophet Muhammad said, رحم الله امرأ سمحا إذا باع وإذا اشترى وإذا اقترض. May Allah's mercy be upon the person who's easygoing when he's doing business. So be easygoing, so the image of Islam will be protected. Be honest, so the image of Islam will be protected. Because if you are a car salesman, and that this old lady comes to buy a car from you, and you know there is a problem in the car, you know there is an issue in the engine or the axle that might give her a hard time in a few months. When you are selling the car, tell that poor customer, you know what, I know the car looks nice from outside, but there's a problem in the engine. You might have to take care of it in a few months. Now, they might tell you, what kind of salesman are you? So I'm a Muslim salesman. I cannot cheat you for extra few dollars in commission. Now, look how beautiful the image of Islam, if all of us are trustworthy and honest in that way. And the opposite. One day, a sister walked into the bank, a sister that I know, wearing the hijab. She walked into the bank, she cashed the check. She took the money and she went to the car. The teller gave her several $100 bills. But by mistake, the teller gave her an extra $100 bill. So when that sister went to her car, she counted the money. She found out that she was given extra $100 bill. Now, if you ask 99% of the people, they will just keep going. She went back to the line in the bank until she get back to the same teller, And she told her, by mistake, you gave me an extra $100. Here is it. Here it is. Now, the teller could not believe it. Poor young girl would have had to pay that out of her own pocket if her boss found out that her box is short by $100. But the customers around who heard that conversation could not believe it. One of the older men looked at that sister and he told her, I've never seen someone so honest like you. This beautiful image is our responsibility. It's our responsibility not to affect the image of Islam in the wrong way. And it's our responsibility to give a positive example of our faith and our community, whether you like it or not. You are in a time, you are in a place that this is part of your obligations. So we don't want to be among the people who give bad image about Islam. That's why we make this dua. رَبَّنَا لَا تَجْعَلْنَا فِتْنَةً لِلَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا. Oh Allah, do not make us a temptation for the or a fitna for those who are non-believers. The next dua, this dua, so the dua we just finished is about those who love Islam. Now this dua about those who love Muslims. If you have that love in your heart towards the Muslims, then this dua will come very handy to you. There is a surah in the Quran, Surah Al-Hashr. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al-Hashr, He mentions three groups of people. Al-Muhajirin, Al-Ansar, and then a third group. المهاجرين الله سبحانه وتعالى says للفقراء المهاجرين الذين أخرجوا من ديارهم وأموالهم يبتغون فضلا من الله ورضوانا وينصرون الله ورسوله أولئك هم الصادقون. For the immigrants, for the poor immigrants who left their homes, who left their town Mecca and came to Medina just for the sake of supporting the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that is the first group. The second group, والذين تبوأوا الدار والإيمان من قبلهم يحبون من هاجر إليهم ولا يجدون في صدورهم حاجة مما أوتوا ويؤثرون على أنفسهم ولو كان بهم خصاصة ومن يوق شح نفسه فأولئك هم المفلحون. And for those who resided in the town of Medina, Yathrib, before the immigrants came to them, and they were always welcoming to them, and they were not selfish, and they were so generous and helped them out even though they were in need. These two groups are the most honorable groups in the history of Islam. These are the best Muslims ever to walk on earth, because Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, خَيْرُ الْقُرُونِ قَرْنِي, the best Muslims are the Muslims who are living with me, and then the ones who live after them, and the ones who live after them until the day of judgment. So the best groups of Muslims to live on the face of earth, who are followers of Muhammad ﷺ, are al-Muhajirin and al-Ansar. Now in Surah Al-Hashr, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned a third group that had the honor to be mentioned with the Muhajirin and Ansar, as if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us this group is equal to the Muhajirin and Ansar. What did they do to be equal to Muhajirin and Ansar? Is they made this dua. والذين جاءوا من بعدهم يقولون ربنا اغفر لنا ولإخواننا الذين سبقونا بالإيمان ولا تجعل في قلوبنا غلا للذين آمنوا. If you want to be among this third group, then make this dua. What is it? Oh Allah, forgive us and forgive our brothers and sisters who came before us in Islam, and do not leave in our hearts any bad feelings toward any Muslim, towards any believer. ربنا اغفر لنا ولإخواننا الذين سبقونا بالإيمان ولا تجعل في قلوبنا غلا للذين آمنوا. Oh Allah, clean my heart from any bad feelings towards any believer. This is a dua that's so beautiful, that will bring the love between the community members. When you are, every day when you go to sleep, ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to take away any bad feelings you have in your heart towards any believer. That's a beautiful dua that granted a man the days of the Prophet to go to Jannah. What did that man do? That man, the Prophet said, the man who's going to walk into the masjid is among the people of Jannah. A man walked in. 3 days in a row, the Prophet said the same thing, and the same man walks in. Abdullah ibn Umar said, there must be something special about this man, that even the Prophet kept talking about him, about his going to Jannah. So what's so special about him? I'm going to try to stay in his house for some time. So he went and made up a story, and he said, I had an issue with my father. May I stay in your house for a few days? And the man says, welcome. He stayed in his house, and he started watching him, monitoring him. What does he do different? After 3 days, he went to him and he said, I'd like to confess to you. I have no problems with my father, but I wanted to see what you're doing. I heard the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam saying that you are among the people of Jannah. So I wanted to see how much do you pray, how much you read Quran, and how much you do all these things. And I honestly, I did not see you doing anything extra. I pray more than you, I read more Quran than you. So why would the Prophet ﷺ say you are among the people of Jannah? So the man said, maybe because of what I do before I go to sleep. He said, what do you do? He said, before I put my head on the pillow and I go to sleep, I ask Allah not to leave in my heart any bad feeling towards any Muslim. I ask Allah to clean my heart from any hatred, any ill feelings towards anybody. Maybe because of that, the Prophet ﷺ said that. He said, that's it. In another story, there's a companion, his name is Abu Damdam. One day the Prophet ﷺ was in the masjid and asking the companions to support the community financially. So they were coming up with donations, giving up to the poor. And everyone gave what they could. This man, Abu Damdam, went to his house. He could not give anything because he's poor. He went and he woke up at night praying and he started crying. And he said, Ya Allah, you know that I would love to sacrifice and give from my money, but I don't have money. Ya Allah, would you accept my charity to be that I will forgive anybody who hurt me or who did anything bad to me, and I will have no bad feelings in my heart towards anybody? Ya Allah, accept from me. And he went to sleep. The next day, the Prophet ﷺ in the masjid is asking, where is Abu Damdam? The man came. He said, I have some good news for you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepted your sacrifice last night. Allah accepted your offer last night. And He accepted your sadaqah last night. And then he looked at everyone and says, be like Abu Damdam, be like him. Have you no bad feelings in your hearts towards anybody. Always try your best to forgive others and not to have any bad feelings towards any other people. And this is the dua that we need to learn, which is ربنا اغفر لنا ولإخواننا الذين سبقونا بالإيمان ولا تجعل في قلوبنا غلا للذين آمنوا ربنا إنك رؤوف رحيم. These three du'as that four du'as that we shared today, inshallah we will all benefit from them. The dua of Maryam, رب ابن لي عندك بيتا في الجنة ونجني من فرعون وعمله ونجني من القوم الظالمين. The second dua is the dua of Prophet Musa when you are about to do a task. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. The third dua, if you really have so much love and desire to serve Islam, the dua is ربنا لا تجعلنا فتنة للذين كفروا. Number 4, if you have that love towards your fellow believers, make this dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take any bad feelings in your heart towards them. ربنا اغفر لنا ولإخواننا الذين سبقونا بالإيمان ولا تجعل في قلوبنا غلا للذين آمنوا ربنا إنك رؤوف رحيم. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept from us these du'as as we are making them inshallah tonight. Try your best to make them tonight. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless you all and gather you all in the highest levels of Jannah, inshallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept from you all, and we'll see you Sunday afternoon. Jazakumullah khair. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. لا نسمعك.
بقول الوقت بيمر بسرعة عجيبة، يعني سريع، ما أعرفش، سبحان الله.
والله
الله ربنا يكتب يعني على هذه الكلمات الإخلاص، ربنا سبحانه وتعالى ويوفقك لكل خير.
آمين.
ونذكر إخواننا أن هذا الشهر يعني يستحب الاجتهاد في الدعاء مع الله تبارك وتعالى أيضا كذلك. أخبرنا صلى الله عليه وسلم في الحديث الذي رواه الإمام السيوطي في الجامع الصغير: إن ربكم حيي كريم يستحيي من عبده إذا رفع يديه إليه أن يردهما صفرا. فعلينا أيضا أن نجتهد كما اجتهد النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم في الدعاء. أخبرنا صلى الله عليه وسلم، والحديث عند الإمام الترمذي رحمهم الله جميعا: أفضل الدعاء العبادة. وأخبرنا في حديث أبي داود: ليس شيء أكرم على الله من الدعاء. ويعني كما نرى الآن في سلسلة فضيلة أخونا الدكتور أحمد صبح، يعني سلسلة دعاء في القرآن الكريم، وقد بدأها بأدعية الأنبياء، وهم يعني سبحان الله معصومون، فنحن بحاجة إلى هذا الدعاء. نسأل الله ألا يحرمنا يعني هذه المحاضرات الطيبات المباركات، وأن ننزلها منزل العمل إن شاء الله. وإن شاء الله نلتقي مع فضيلتكم يوم الأحد القادم إن أحيانا الله سبحانه وتعالى.
إن شاء الله.
أستاذنا الدكتور، ربنا يوفقك.
الله يجزيكم الخير. تفضل. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.